I just had this happen to me recently. Somebody I met, known for a while, but just rekindled with them, and was like, oh, I want to hang out and this, that, and the third, this, that, and the third. Oh, okay. All right, we're going to hang out. So very urgent about it too. So I was like, cool, yeah, let's do something. And you know, we chatted, you know, throughout the day. So a few hours later, like, well, what you doing after such and such time? And I'm like, oh, I'm free, you know. Didn't think nothing of it, know where I'm going. Now this character is quite older than me too. And I was very adamant, like straight up, like, are you trying to really like you trying to get to know me, or you just trying to fuck? Like, you can tell me, like, whatever you into, I'm down for. Like, I'll let you know, yay or nay. So he's like, no, like, I'm really trying to get to know you, you know, like, I've had you in the past and we've just never really taken the time to get to know each other. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So he asked me what I was doing after such and such time. I told him, I was like, well, I'll let you know, let's play it by ear. So at that time came, I was in the mood. So I said, yeah, let's see what he's talking about. So I hit him up. I'm like, well, I'm free. What do you want to do? Like, what do you have in mind? Now, when I sent him the text that said I'm free, at the same time, when I had sent, like, what do you have in mind? His response to me was, well, do you want to come over to my house? Who you think you playing? Oh man, sit down. Very transparent. I was like, well, before we go there, let me just make sure, you know, like, once again, you just looking for like a sex thing, are you? Or are you really looking to get to know me? Giving them the opportunity to come at me straight up. Not even 10 minutes of me going to this man's house, already trying to get to it. So I sit down, and thank God for a spam call. Got a spam call. I talked to that motherfucker robot like it was my nigga. I caressed that I know that motherfucker. Hey, if you didn't get spam calls for one particular day, it's because I put that robot to sleep. I talked so much good shit in that motherfucker ear. I dogged that dog out. Like, I just was all up in the car. I was like, oh my God, I got an emergency, gotta go, gotta leave, gotta go. So then he hit me up following day. It's just like, oh, I hope you didn't get the wrong impression, this, that, and the third. And bruh, you gotta say that. Who you trying to play? So
have you ever been in the moment of sex or getting ready for intercourse and your mate talk too much that makes you lose the mood to finish having sex or even getting started?
Yes. You know, I don't know, because I always like wonder this when, like, I'm not one to talk a lot during sex. Like, that's not ever been my thing. And for me, I feel like part of sex is communicating without your words. So when people like consistently are trying to get me to talk, or either they talk to me during sex, or either while we get into the act talking, I'm definitely a stickler for that. Like, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to hear that. But I do like hearing people who are normally, when we not in bed, to talk in bed, because that lets me know like they really into it. But I think that's gonna be what we talk about tonight. I want to know, do we make sex too complicated? Yup, we're going there. Today's Solar Steam session is all about the complications of having sex, because a lot of you hoes out there ain't getting y'all sex because y'all make this stuff too complicated. Reggie asked me if it was something that bothered me when it comes to having sex, if a person is talking too much, if that is making it unpleasant, I guess you could say. But I want to take it a further step into the trenches, and I want to know, are we as a society or across the board making this whole act that is supposed to be effortless and organic complicated? So back to you, Reggie, though. I want to know, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like talking too much during sex is a problem, or are you cool with it?
I like to believe it's a problem for me. I look at the act of sex is a physical, but everybody wanted to be emotional also. And I can't disagree with the as someone would say it, the art of love making, being emotional. But overall, the part of the sex, for me, it becomes kind of physical, and I don't talk. Maybe I turn into some caveman or Neanderthal. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. I think talking about how is this and that, I might lose my mojo, and I don't want to get talked to. My shit gets soft. I just want to be pleasing and be pleased.
I ain't never heard it called that gummy worm.
Gummy worm.
Yeah.
The gummy worm.
No, but for real, no, some people are into it, and I see myself as I'm getting older and like going through like this whole reinvention of who I am sexually. It's just like, I try to talk, but to me it's cheesy. I feel like it's supposed to start with eye contact. It's supposed to start with nudges. It's supposed to start with one thing leading to another. But like, I don't want to talk about it in the act. But I feel like, what do you have to say? Go ahead.
And you said it better than I did. You saying what I think. I don't have an issue talking about it, romancing about it, having a light moment about it. But when I'm about it, let's get it over with. Let's get it going. Let's stay focused on point. Right.
Let's go back to the matter though. Do we make sex too complicated? And the first thing when this came across, and thank you, Reggie, for bringing this topic up, because I think it's a brilliant topic, and I think it can go so many different ways, and we want some interaction, so we can take it however we need to go with this topic. But I think that the first thing that came to mind was sneaky link. And a lot of people are going around, publicizing it and promoting it and talking about it. But I think that is why that is so hot right now, because sneaky links started in the gay community. I hate to keep bringing it up, but it did. Essentially, our interactions were supposed to be something like at night, minimum about each other during the day. We help each other out and we leave it at that. No feelings involved. And I know Kayla Nicole started a song with Soulja Boy with it, promoting sneaky links. And I think Mooney, I don't know her last name, I want to say Long. Mooney started that little song. And I was looking at the interview, and Mooney, they were asking her like where she initiated it and where did the song idea come from. And she said she was with her gay friend who was explaining how we date, pretty much. So I feel like we do make it complicated, and I do feel like right now sneaky links are very popular because it's all about being simple and not complicated. And I think that it's a lot of interesting facts behind it, because a lot of people who are into like the whole anonymous sex. And when I say anonymous, I know that means a lot of people, when they hear that, they think like, I don't know the person. It's just very random. But the anonymous aspect means very little about the person, which technically is who you're going to be involved with when it comes to a sneaky link, because you don't want them to know too much, because you don't want feelings involved. Do I feel like it can get complicated? Absolutely. Whenever you're in a relationship, I feel like, sex gets extremely complicated, and it gets complicated for a couple of factors. I don't think people really pay attention that when you're in a relationship, sex acts as a filler. It fills in the spots of it. Well, it's definitely temporary, but I feel like I was reading online, and this is the only example I can give. And I hate to use it because I did see it online, so I'm going ahead and put that out there. But it said that couples use sex, or people in relationship use sex, very similar to the example of wood and wood glue. If we take two pieces of wood and put them together, there's ridges and there's spaces in between those two pieces of wood. The glue that you put on that wood to stick those two pieces together fills in those cracks and those little bitty small nudges or emptiness that the wood needs to remain together. So let's put it back on a couple. If you have a couple and they're going through communication issues, what are they going to run to? They're going to run to sex, right? If you're having communication issues within a couple, what are you going to run to? Sex. Even if a couple is not talking to one another, they're going to have sex. Where do we think makeup sex comes from? It's a fantastic band-aid to have. This is when it gets complicated. When the one person in the relationship understands that there's an underlying issue that is going to continuously keep resurfacing until it's addressed. So then what do? They withdraw from sex. When they withdraw from sex, the other partner doesn't necessarily understand why. They might think that it's something else. They might think that they're no longer satisfying their partner. They might think their partner no longer is interested in them. What the real issue is it's an underlying issue that has been overlooked or swept under the rug. So I feel like in relationships, absolutely sex is complicated. And I think that that's one of those kind of things that you have to look at going into a relationship. Even if you think that your relationship with the person that you're dating, getting to know, or you're with is fantastic all day long, all night long. However, it is only temporary. If everything else ain't square and lined up, trust me, that good sex ain't gonna satisfy you.
Just for the record, so first of all, let me go on record saying I do like makeup sex.
Who doesn't like?
Yeah, because now, and you got a great point, but I look at anything like in construction, when they build anything, the first thing they gotta set is the cornerstone, the foundation. When you start a car, normally you need a key or a fiat for the engine to start running. Me personally, and maybe some other, take sex as the key to get everything going.
Yeah, people don't move forward unless
right.
sex is good or what they like.
And sometimes for me, it may not be anger, but it's a nice stress release.
Yeah.
If you committed to a relationship, sex get better because you start learning each other. And then sometimes it's always about the feeling. Don't get me wrong, I don't do it without the feeling. But what I'm getting at is when you start understanding each other better, you start knowing what they like physically and time-wise, and timing. They like this. They want to be turned here. It's time to flip them and smack them, whatever they want. But you start growing in that thing. But you got a great point.
You start growing in that thing.
Yeah, that's right. You start growing into that thing, and that thing is the relationship. You're growing into that thing is the relationship. And you grow because every aspect of your relationship needs to grow.
Yeah.
In the moment that, whether you're 30, 40, 50 years, if you don't think the sexual part needs to grow, you're gonna fall off anyway.
Let's look at it from the whole perspective, because couples also celebrate sex for excitement, joy, happiness, things of that nature. See, not only does it act as the glue to the wood, which I think is hilarious now that I'm saying it out loud, but it also does a good job of bringing the couple close together. So even if it is an issue, it distracts the couple. But one person in that couple is always stronger than the other, and they typically can recognize it before the other one. Or sometimes it happens at the same time, and that's how we have mutual understandings. But, it pulls the couple or the individuals closer to one another, and then it makes it harder because when they start pulling apart, it's like, where did we go wrong? So it's not necessarily complicated from, I'm not in the mood tonight, or either, I don't feel good about myself, or either, I'm upset at you still because you didn't call me, or either, you won't answer my question that I've been asking. But it also can come from, we just had sex, and we celebrated the birth of this, or we celebrated this, or either we acknowledged a 10th anniversary, or whatever the case may be. So it can become complicated, but complicated in different ways. And sometimes one way is easier than another way as far as overcoming that issue.
You had a great point earlier before we got on set, and I don't know if you was really making a point, but you was talking in a way, and you said it does become a problem when you start using it as a weapon, holding back as a weapon. It do become an issue. You see what I'm saying? And that's something to be very mindful of. But I will say this too. I don't care how good it get or how long you've been practicing. You start talking, you're gonna mess it up again.
There you go.
Gonna mess it up again.
Seriously, it goes straight. I'm glad you pointed that out because it goes back to the very first question. I don't give a damn about everything else, but once you start talking, it can go right on down and go down fast on top of that in an instant. Let's factor in we live in a new day and age, and sex now is a little bit more complicated than it was originally. How do we really view sex in 2022? It looks like, based on sex experts in 22, these are the trends. Do you know what Outcourse is?
No.
All right. It sounds very similar to Outsource. So this is going to be geared towards your long distance relationship. So maybe you can implement this in your long distance relationship if you got issues. But Outcourse is outsourcing your coursal needs. Does that make sense? Did I say that right? Let me say that again. Outcourse, let me rephrase it. Outcourse is when you outsource your sexual needs. That makes more sense. So that's what Outcourse is. So pretty much, I'm dating someone that lives at a distance, or either I'm dating someone, period. I pretty much notions to my significant other, hey, you go do what you got to do to satisfy your needs, versus me having to come to you or you come to me, or however the case may be. And when we link up and we'll handle it from there. So very similar to like an open relationship, but not necessarily an open relationship, if you know what I mean. Another trend that is going on is sensory sex, okay? Or for lack of a better terms, mindful masturbation and tantric sex trends. Okay, so pretty much this is just because, once again, what we've been dealing with for the last couple of years, isolating yourself and being within, going within to please yourself on a deeper level. So people are now apparently liking the idea of not necessarily just intercourse, but linking up with somebody that they're very into or want to be with, and utilizing self-pleasure, if you will, or masturbation. And then some people are getting real kinky with it and mixing yoga in with it and doing tantra, which I'm not mad at. I'm kind of on, I kind of get it. Because if I want to be prepared if we got to go through a quarantine again, I don't want to have to go through no sneaky links. I don't want to have to go through no exes. I don't have to go no friend. I don't want no friend. I just want to be able to take care of myself. Real independent. And I want you to see how we look at sex now compared to how we were brought up looking at sex. All right, so hetero flexibility. This article said that it was mostly towards women. So guys, it's easy to get you a freaky leak out here. They're saying that 22, a trend is not necessarily having a particular orientation to designate yourself to. Kind of giving everybody the leeway to be flexible and do whatever the fuck they want just to satisfy their needs. Once again, this is a trend based on sex experts, and they're just saying that they noticed an increase of women saying that they were more opposed to having same-sex sex, and also men more opposed to, or more open to the idea of having same-sex sex. Now, the article did say that there's a lot of limitations to it and a lot of restrictions that our people in society now consider and keeping in a factor, I guess, in regards to acting on this trend. But it was on the fucking list. Go look it up online. The last one is going to be better foreplay, really growing emphasis on female pleasure. Right now, women are taking hands in their own matters, literally, and playing the banjo at night by themselves. And I'm not judging. It is what it is. Do what you got to do. You get what I'm saying when I say that, right? I don't want to sound like an ignorant gay person, but I feel like banjo, that's what they do. I don't know how it works. But anyways, yes, women are getting into that. So I can say that overall, if we answer this question, let's talk about how we looking at it. I think people are more lenient when it comes to sexual needs. Now, I don't necessarily think people are so prude and people are so strict and people are so one way. I think it's a lot more two-way streets, if you will, when it comes to it. I don't necessarily think it's such a huge factor like it used to be. I think that we're starting to join the European wave where we look at sex and nudity and all those things in a lighter note. And I think that this change has happened suddenly. So overall, do we think people make sex too complicated? What do you say, yay or nay? Yes? Diego, what do you say, yay or nay?
Yes.
I'm gonna say yay too. I say that, it's something we gotta do better. And maybe you are in a situation where you are making something more complicated than what it needs to be. I think we spoke across the board. I think we've said within so many words, some people, yeah, you do make it too complicated. Some people, no, you don't make it complicated. But I think it all boils down to the simple fact that at the end of the day, it depends on where you are personally. And when you are in these situations where it's not a lot of rules and regulations put or terms put on the situationship, understanding that if one person does make it complicated, ultimately it's you, how you react to it. Because if you feed into that, then you're making it complicated just as well as they're making it complicated. If you don't feed into it, then yeah, that other person is making it more complicated. And then you got the big decision to figure out if you want to continue to make it even more complicated or go on and find somebody else. What's up, Reggie?
The key thing the thing I do like, the key word that you're saying that resonate with me is you, the personal, because it's not based on your relationship status. It ain't got nothing to do with you being single. It ain't got nothing to do with you being married. It's about the person making it complicated. I think sometimes it's worse. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, it could be worse when you're married because you with each other every day. You should be able to work them kinks out. And not saying that you would never have sex complications, but it shouldn't be as often as a single person, because you should have learned this thing by now.
As a single person, you're changing your variable because you're dealing with different people. But if you're with somebody, y'all should have that foundation, back to the construction, of understanding what's going on. And I hope that for those that are in a relationship, if you are going through something when it comes to your sex life, this is an eye-opener. Maybe it's not what you think it is. Maybe it's still the argument that y'all had 3 weeks ago that y'all didn't come up with a solution. But keep on band-aiding it. But eventually, someone gonna start talking. And when they start talking, remember what happens when you start talking. You don't grow in the situation, if you will. So I think that this is something that need to be shedded light on. Once again, this ain't geared towards one particular crowd. I feel like everybody can win on this one. If you are out here in the streets dating, keep doing your thing. I know we went through a Valentine's Day and all that good stuff. If you linked up with someone on Valentine's Day and it was one of those situations where it was a situationship and the other person is making complicated and you feel some kind of way, speak on it. You not speaking on it is only gonna make it worse. Go ahead and speak on it. Let it be known that they're making it complicated. Go ahead, make your exit.
If you acknowledge there's a problem, you don't have to put a band-aid on. You can just start working on the healing. See, you made a good point. If you keep putting a band-aid, eventually the band-aid can't hold everything. But if you acknowledge there's something wrong, and there's nothing wrong with acknowledging something ain't right. But if you can, the moment you can acknowledge that it's wrong, you can start healing. You can start getting better from that point.
Yeah.
So you made a good point about don't put band-aids on stuff that you can heal.
Yeah.
There's no need for me to put a band-aid on when I got rubbing alcohol to disinfect, to do whatever I need to do. Deal with that pain that healing may start.
So it ain't no sense of going nowhere else. You might as well stick where you are, but communicate, open up, figure out what's going on, because sex is a band-aid. I don't give a damn how good. Communication is where it's at.
Like you said, as long as you communicate it, they might take it the wrong way, but y'all work it out. voiced it and they know.
Right.
And it shouldn't be taken the wrong way if y'all in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Y'all should be able to, okay, I get what they're doing.
But we've talked about all the parameters, and I want to bring it back to something that's very important because that's the main character of this whole situation, and that's the person, you. It all depends on you. Also, who you're dealing with. You got to know who you're dealing with too, because let's say you're not married and you are out here dating someone. There's different types of guys. You got users or women. You got users. You got romantic people. You got nice people. You got good people. You got evil people. You got sex addicts. You got prostitutes. You got drug users. You got so many. Did I forget liars? You got a lot out there, and that's where it starts. When you get this signal and this is going through your head, is this becoming too complicated? You also got to man up and be and acknowledge what you're dealing with, because how you react is centered all around who you're dealing with.
And voice what you want.
Yeah.
You don't want to risk it, but y'all just kicking it and let that be known. So
Yeah.
whenever problems come up, you already know what it was.
I got an issue sometimes with voicing what you want. I have an issue with sometimes voicing what you want.
What's that?
Sometimes when you voice what you want, well, not that. How do I know they ain't acting a certain way from what you just told them you want, and that ain't really them?
That's a good point.
I had a friend who told me this when she was gay and she said she was a girl, she would never tell them what she liked.
Bingo.
They put that front on off rip.
Bingo.
Like, I like this person so much.
Bingo.
I don't even know you. They just lust and they're like, well, I'm gonna do everything they say they like. So everything that I don't really like, I'm gonna say I like it.
So let me tell you about that. Let me give you a hack on that. When I get asked that question, I never answer it. If I do answer it, I don't answer it honestly. I tell them the complete opposite of what I like, because I want to see what they tune in on what I don't like. Because if you really are against something I don't like, and I know that you're like it, and you're about that one aspect, then I know, oh hell no, you're gonna play on it.
I'm not gonna necessarily not tell them, but I'm gonna be as vague as possibly as I can.
Not put too much emphasis on certain shit.
Yeah.
See, Streets 22 done upgraded, so that doesn't work because they follow with because people know game, so they'll continue to press on that and see, like they'll try to pinpoint where you're more at. So what I do is I'll tell them the complete opposite, or either I'll just be very vague and I'll never give them a definite answer. But you don't tell what you into, what you like, what you looking for. Don't do that, because the moment you do that, people will become what you want, so they can get what they want.
That, you know what I'm saying? Then you don't got somewhere down the line like, man, that's bull crap. Yeah.
So that goes back to the whole point we were making. At the end of the day, you got to be transparent when you are communicating with a motherfucker. And when you notice these little things, nip that shit in the bud right then and there. And at the end of the day, only you can answer the question. Is it too complicated? And at the end of the day, only you can determine if it becomes too complicated. If you really think about it. Seriously, it takes two to tango. I'm not gonna harp on this much longer. You bitches know what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, this is all about Valentine's Day. I know we've gone through Valentine's Day. It was recent and everybody feels some kind of way, and some of them situations are probably still lingering. And if you having that issue or you want to know if it's too complicated, here's your confirmation, here's your answer, here's your point of view, and here's your tribe to tell you. You know the answer. With that being said, this is a Soul Esteem session solo with your boy Rashad, and you already know you can find us on YouTube, Soul Esteem Sessions Podcast. Reggie, we're gonna reverse this because I just forgot. We've had Sean close out one, we've had Leprechauns close out one. Diego closes these bitch out like checks at this point. Will you close this Soul Esteem session out? You know how to do it. Don't act like you don't watch my shit. You don't watch my podcast, Reggie? Dog, nigga, the mic is on. Don't be.
Y'all know I watch it.
Okay.
I'm saying everybody flavors their flavor.
So give me your flavor.
My flavor. You just had a great session with Solar Steam Podcast. We have my main man Rashadi on the mic, my boy the dog Diego behind the scene, the guest star Reggie, the photo guy on the side. P.S. for the show. P.S. Don't talk grocery list while you're humping in the bed. We out. Peace.
That is going to be the title.